Good morning, afternoon, or evening, YouTube. My name is Aquarius, and welcome to another one of my readings. Um, just as a quick reminder, I am doing more live streams in the near future, so just look out for those. But honestly, I'm more interested on getting into this energy and seeing what's going on. So let me go through this a couple more times here. Oh, got cards already coming out for you. Interesting here. I got the Empress and the Four of Cups real quick. I feel like definitely somebody who's sitting on abundance but looking at what they don't have. Sitting on things that they had homegrown. You know, this doesn't have to necessarily be a woman. This can be a man as well. Men can also hold very masculine energy. But, you know, just to keep you there, I feel like somebody who's sitting on, who's, I feel like somebody who's like sitting on trying to figure out what to do next and figuring out like, well, what did I lose versus what do I have? That's definitely the energy I'm getting right now. But let's see. Let's see what more we got going on here. Show y'all. The Tower. So might have some divine timing coming on around here. All right. First card out of the gate is the Two of Cups. So this definitely has to be doing something with relationships or partnerships that you're dealing with right now. Maybe you currently had to break away or start something new. Next up is the Moon Arcana. So something you have to kind of take a middle road with, which is interesting because we have the star here and the moon in the middle. I feel definitely, I guess maybe more guided. This is more of an intuitive thing versus being guided with a more physical sensation here. But what next we have is Judgment. So definitely the ending of something. I feel as if you're, you know, guided to do something here with no shame is what I get. Being called for something higher with no, oh, let me move these a little higher up. But being called to do something with no shame to it. You are one with the universe. There is nothing here to stop you. And because in the near past, you know, in the past you felt like you've had to keep yourself guarded at the forces that be. You know, you feel as though you have to stand tall with what you have available, and if you don't, you know, because this is the Strength Arcana, you know, you have to stay guarded. Because there are things out there that are attempting to take something away from you, or you felt as those things things in the near past were trying to take something away from you. Now here in the near future, you've taken these sticks and these actions you've made forward, and you're starting here with I believe this is the King of Wands. Yes, this is the King of Wands. Standing here with the King of Wands energy, then you're much more, I would like to say, intelligent with the snake here. I would like to say that you're much more sure and more, when you're speaking or when you're moving in a direction, it's done with purpose. Yes, I definitely get the feeling of purpose. Like I'm not just coming in here just to say or do whatever. I'm here to do my thing. Because in the recent past, you've gotten your heart broken. You know, you're looking at what has been taken from you. You're looking at what has been, you know, shattered from you. But understand, in the death of whatever this may be, or in the heartbreak of whatever this may be, there is still something growing behind all of it. There's still something beautiful at the end of that. Because right now you're looking to start moving in a different direction. And the external forces right now are telling you that you need to start moving in a different direction. You need to start moving in a much more, you know, since this is the Six of Swords, you know, which is interesting because we go from 3 to 6, you know, we immediately start jumping towards a more progressive movement to something better for yourself. Because in your hopes and fears, your fear of being left out, of not just being left out, but left with nothing. I get very felt like left with nothing sort of energy, or left with some sort of shame. But all you need to do is stay grounded in yourself. But if you're not careful, you're not going to know what's going to be what you're burning at your feet. You're so stuck in yourself, you're not going to pay attention to what's really going on. I don't feel like you're getting a warning about anything like super extreme, but more of just be vigilant. You are being called to do something openly, but they say do it openly, but with caution. Watch yourself, because if you're going to start making moves forward, and if you're going to feel as if you are put in a position where you're lacking, you need to pay more attention to what's going on around you. I feel like this is more of a reminder versus something of what's to come. Because what we have here is what's to come is that you're in this energy of discipline. I get. But let's see what more we can get here. All right. I apologize. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay. Oop. Got a couple cards trying to pull out. Got the 8 of Cups there. So walking away. Interesting. Okay, give me one more moment. First card out of the gate is the 6 of Pentacles, so I get balancing here. So what you're trying to do is balance maybe the relationships that you do have, where you're being guided to. On top of the Moon Arcana, we have the 2 of Swords. So yeah, once again, balancing and being guided intuitively. And I emphasize the intuitively because also understand that the 2 of Swords also resonates with I believe the High Priestess. It's a much more intellectual card, being more called to move with a sort of trust versus something done with more, I guess, just more instinct versus logic is the best way that I feel like I can explain it. Next up with the Judgment card is the Hermit. So maybe you are called for something higher here. And I specifically say higher because, with the intuition down here, with the Hermit now taking up the Judgment, it might be the call to go back to old practice. Going back to old magics, going back to old ways that were healthy for you. Looking back on higher learning, more esoteric learning, looking deeper within yourself. This might be time for, some sort of cleansing of some sort. And I only say cleansing because he has the lantern here, and for some reason I get incense. I don't know why. That's just what I get with the smoke there. But next up, taking up the strength spot here in the recent past is the Knight of Coins. So maybe this was something that was slow moving. And maybe that was what kept you so guarded, was that you were moving at such a snail's pace with whatever you were standing against. Like maybe like whatever you were trying to take care of, be whatever, it just was just draining you, and it was taking a while. Next up is the Knight of Cups on top of the King of Wands. And maybe that's what changed, is that now that you're in this more enlightened King of Wands mind, you're carrying your cup to the next, well, I'd like to say the next level. Carrying your cup to, like, I don't know, I feel like to nurture something bigger. But what's going on here with this Three of Swords? The Ace of Coins. So maybe the heartbreak is actually starting something new. And when I say heartbreak is a very broad way of putting it. It's like, how could a new beginning break my heart? But not every ending you're given is a good one, you know? Not every new start you're given is always gonna be the cleanest patch. And that's a very big misconception a lot of people have. You know, just because you started doesn't mean it was a good start. You know, sometimes you trip over yourself. And here with the Six of Swords is the Six of Wands. That's the Four of Wands. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Love that. Anyway, but that's balance. You know, that's happiness. That's true balance. You know, they're having the marriage. Oh my goodness, I knocked all the cards. Silly me. Sorry, I'm getting all excited. Give me a second here. There we go. Almost there. God damn it. Oops. Am I allowed to curse during my readings? Well, we'll see next time. I try not to. I'd like to keep it a little professional. A little professional. I say that, but I don't know. Sometimes I be meaning some things. But yeah, and now we have here, sitting here in your hopes and dreams, is wish fulfillment. So maybe you feel like you're getting left out of something, of your wish fulfillment, of your hopes and dreams. But maybe the only person who's leaving you out is you. You know? It is said in some books that I have read that the Five of Pentacles is a card that is also self-inflicted. You know, you're not looking at what could be behind the glass. You're just looking at this pretty glass. You know, you're like, what's all this right here? Oh, this looks too good to be true. Oh, I guess I'll just sit out here. But if I remember correctly, the Five of Pentacles, oh my goodness, I cannot hold a card to save my life. The Five of Pentacles card is the church that he can go into. But that's, I think this is also connected to the Four of Swords, but we'll get to that. But don't quote me on that. I got to read up on that again. But either way, the Five of Pentacles here, though, is you definitely the energy of self-inflicted, being left out in the cold, or you being hard on yourself. And you're being hard on yourself because of this wish fulfillment you want to achieve, and your hopes and fears. And lastly, we have the Queen of Coins on top of the Four of Pentacles. So maybe what is sitting at your feet here, or what you're sitting on here, is abundance. Once again, back to the original, to what you're having here. You have to balance all of this. You have greatness here, is my point. And as you're being called and guided to doing these, to change this slow start into something emotionally fulfilling for yourself, this new beginning you're being called for, it's it's going to be great to start. It's going to be a good start, but it's going to be a rough start. Because you didn't necessarily start so good, but your recovery is getting there, is what I more want to lean to say. And you have things that you're looking to strive for. You have things that you're looking to do. But at the same time, as you're sitting on this greatness, you need to be sure you know what you're doing with it. And that's why you need to get into this hermit energy, so you can calculate, take note of everything that you have, so that you know what the best action is. So you know when to give, when to take, when to be emotionally fulfilling, when to be emotionally withdrawn sometimes, You have to make sure you keep that. But I digress. Let me get down to my oracles. First things first, the Everyday Witch Oracle. I love these cards. I do. They're so beautiful. They're so pretty to me. I feel very called to them. One more shuffle. For good measure, Imagine and envision. Okay, imagine and envision. Give me a second. Imagine and envision. Air. Okay, page 37. Imagination is the core of any witchcraft practice. After all, if you are working towards some sort of goal, you have to be able to imagine it first. And unless you're lucky enough to be visited by an actual manifestation of God and goddesses, you probably have to come up with an image that represents them to you. We use imagination and visualization all the time, in the prayer and ritual, spellcasting, and meditation. And just like any other skill, using your imagination becomes easier with practice. So let your imagination soar today and every day. So maybe they're asking you to be more creative. They're actually asking you to be more creative, which makes sense, because once again, you're going to have to be using your intellect again, so that you can take note of what you have, so that if you're starting to make moves of growth, you're doing it from a place of higher knowing. Just like it's like they don't need you to be in the 3D about this. They need you to start thinking more 4D. If that makes sense to people. You gotta think a little bit more outside yourself with some of the games, with some of the moves you gotta make, you know what I mean? Next up is the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. Next up is Mirror. Treat your body like the palace it is. So right here, another card of more looking inward. Treat your body like a palace as it is, because you know what? It is a palace, and you should be taking care of yourself. And maybe that's why we have a lot of these more introspective cards, more cards on looking inward, because you're not taking care of yourself. Or you're not looking at yourself correctly, is what I'm warning to say. What is this, 4? I'm all the way in the wrong section. Here it goes. You've been feeling self-conscious as of late, but the answer isn't to change anything about yourself. The answer is to learn to love the body you've been given. Avoid these crash diets, that extreme exercise, or any other unhealthy behavior. Take strides toward a healthy mindset that accepts yourself as who you are, not what you feel pressured to be. Oh. Well, if that's the case, someone's feeling pressured. Let's see what the Self-Care Oracle deck has to say. So, Spirit, allow me to bestow upon them the knowledge of better love. How do we love ourselves better today, Spirit? What should we do? Spirit says, connect with fire. Burning bowl rituals. Or maybe meditate in front of a candle, you know? Keep yourself safe. Please don't set yourself on fire. I am not condoning that. But, you know, connect with fire, you know? Maybe you're the type of witch that does burning bowl rituals. Maybe you're the type of witch that does, or maybe you cook, you know? Things like that. Like, there are more than one way to connect with fire that's not just taking a piece of paper and, you know, burning it and giving it to the universe. You know, there are other means of connection. And that's what Spirit is really calling you to do. To imagine and envision other ways of protecting, of loving and connecting with yourself more. Because at the end of the day, the only person who's going to be able to handle themselves, take care of themselves, and all that is going to be you. And maybe the reality is that you're bored. And so they need you to create something for yourself to keep you engaged. You know? But that's besides the point. He says, as if this is not a whole tarot reading. But that should be everything. I mean, I don't have much more to say. I feel like Spirit is very on with what they had to give you. You know, you are starting to gain you have a good stability. You know, this new start for you is bumpy, but you're able to keep yourself together because you have the right people around you. You just need to keep yourself balanced so that you don't accidentally trip yourself on this faulty start. At least that's what you believe is faulty. But that's besides the point. I think that should be it. Thank you so much for checking out the reading. I hope what I said connected with you. Please understand that these readings are always done with the greatest of love and intention. I appreciate those who've stuck around, and I will see you later.